Hey, friends and family. What's going on, everyone? I hope you guys are having a tremendously terrific Thursday. I just finished running some errands, getting ready to take Tucky to the park, but before I go, I had a request. My girlfriend has asked to hear about the Ken and Barbie murders. I don't know if that's my good friend Longfellow Deeds logging in, but if it is, good morning, Longfellow Deeds. He's in the Philippines, so it's morning time for him. Anyways, so a morning time story for you, not a bedtime story. Anyways, so I'm going to tell you guys about the Ken and Barbie Killers real quick, and then hearts right back at you, baby. All right, so Ken and Barbie Killers, let me tell you about these guys. So they're from Canada, like your girl right here. Canadian, whoop whoop, in the house. All right, so Ken and Barbie Killers. I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Ken, a.k.a. Paul Bernardo, and Barbie, a.k.a. Karla Homolka. So Paul Bernardo was born in Scarborough in Toronto, Canada in 1964. He was actually born due to an affair his mother was having, so he was actually a bastard. And his stepfather obviously wasn't super happy about that, so his home life wasn't very good. Growing up, his mom literally called him a bastard, had verbal abuse daily, and good morning to you too, handsome. And, beat him daily, just horrible stuff. Called him a bastard, everything in the world. Stepfather was a peeping Tom. Not only was he a peeping Tom, he was convicted of molesting a young girl, also molesting Paul's sister. So Paul had a crazy, very abusive and crappy childhood. And then he went to college, and when he was in college, he had a string of abusive relationships where he was very domineering. He was into the sadistic sex, the whole I'm the master, you're the slave type of thing. That's what Paul was into, so he had a ton of unsuccessful relationships because of abuse. He would beat the women, different things like this. Paul actually had a dream. His dream, lifelong dream, would to have a farm full of virgins that he could dominate. That was the man's dream. So he was very handsome, though, very charismatic, hence why they call him Ken. He literally, like, blonde hair, blue eyes, gorgeous, handsome man, just a little twisted. So he actually, when he graduates college, he ends up getting a job as a businessman, a highly respected businessman, working at a great firm. So that's the background on Paul, aka Ken. Let me tell you about Barbie. So Barbie, aka Paul, Karla Homolka, she had a completely different background. She was brought up in a loving family that was supportive. She was the oldest sibling I think there was 3 of them, the oldest of 3 siblings. What else? There was no history of abuse. She was very outgoing. She was popular, pretty, hence the name Barbie. She had the blonde hair, she was skinny, and the blue eyes, the typical stereotype. So, again, Barbie Ken. So, her dreams were becoming a vet when she grew up. It wasn't to own a farm with virgins that she could dominate. Hers was to be a vet. So, she goes to a conference when she's 17 years old in Toronto, and she meets 23-year-old Paul Bernardo there. So she's 17, he's 23. They meet at this conference. It's for like an animal conference or something. They hit it off. That night, word on the street is, bow, chicka, wow, wow. They got funky, they got frisky. And literally at that moment, again, she was 17. She was like a star-eyed, crazy in love, head over heels from that moment. And they started a master-slave type relationship. And Karla was okay with that. She wanted to make Paul's every dream and fantasy come true. So she becomes obsessed with Paul, like a little schoolgirl, right? And Karla loves Paul forever and ever, and Karla and Paul are, forever and over the moons and stars and all that crazy crap. And he begins to dominate her, telling her what to wear, what to say, what she can eat, the whole shebang. So Karla creates something that she calls the list. And in the list, she writes things like, 1, remember you're stupid. 2, remember you're fat. 3, remember to always smile. 4, remember to never talk back. So these are the things that she wrote in her list, her little journal, to make sure that she's being the perfect girlfriend for Paul, Ken. So One time, Paul actually looked. Well, let me tell you this first. He makes her sleep on the floor. He beats her. Whole bunch of crazy stuff like that. She puts up with it, and in my eyes, this is him conditioning her for what's coming next. One day, Paul asks her, Karla, what would you think if I was to tell you I was a rapist? Karla answers with one word, cool. So she's down with that. He's like, so, you know, if I was a rapist, what would you think? Karla's like, that's some cool. I'm down with that. So he's like, sweet, this is my girl. So Karla not only now is on board and got the idea, but Paul has been the Scarsboro rapist. From 1987 to 1990, he raped 13 women in his neighborhood. What he would do is find them at like bus stops, and he would kidnap them, abduct them, take them home, torture them, tie them up, rape them, beat them, different things like that. So anyways, Karla not only knows about this, but she decides she wants to start helping him. So in Paul's twisted and warped mind, Karla is now the perfect partner in every way except for one thing. She's not a virgin. And Paul's not happy about that. He continues on and on with her, pretty much telling her how she owes him. You know, I love you, you love me, but you were not a virgin when we got together, and you owe me a virgin. So she's on board. And Paul becomes obsessed with her little sister, known as Tammy. Tammy is 15 years old and looks at Paul like he's a big brother she never had and he's the greatest. And Paul's like, yeah, you're the little sister that I never had, but I'm about to have. So while he's obsessing and stalking Tammy and convincing Karla that, you know, she needs to help him get her little sister, Tammy is like taking a shower one day. Karla helps him be able to spy on her while she's showering, different things like that. So that kind of twisted, warped stuff. Some people go to like movies and dinner on a Saturday night. Not Barbie and Ken. They figure out how they can spy on her little sister taking a shower. So, needless to say, Karla's on board. She's like, yeah, we'll get you my little sister. It's December 23rd, and the family's having like a Christmas party. And everyone's hanging out and stuff. The party winds down, and Karla and Paul invite Tammy, who thinks, you know, like they're the coolest older sister, big brother team ever, invite her downstairs in the basement, and they start giving her some drinks. Inside the drinks, they had slipped in some muscle relaxers and stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, Karla always dreamed of being a vet, so she worked at like a veterinary clinic and was like a vet tech or whatever. She had stolen the drug called halothane, which, you know, knocks you out. It's a sedative. So they give Tammy a couple of drinks. She gets woozy. Karla takes this rag, puts the halothane on it, puts it over Tammy's mouth, knocks her out. Paul's like, let's do this, baby. Get the video camera. Yeah. That's what he said. Get the video camera. So she's like, all right, baby. Gets the video camera, busts this bad boy out, and they start raping her. And Tammy's out cold, and he's raping her, and they're having a wonderful old time just taking advantage of this poor little girl. And she starts to wake up, and she starts to aspirate. She starts to choke on her own vomit. So they quickly get her dressed, and they're trying to, you know, wipe up everything off her face. She's got burns all over her face from the halothane rag on her face. So they call 911. 911 comes. They're like, oh my God, what happened to her face? They're like, she got rug burn. When we pulled her off the couch to try and give her CPR, she got rug burn on her face. So they try and revive her. She dies. Nobody does a tox screen or anything, so they don't find any drugs in her system. They classify it as an accidental death. The rape's never detected or anything. Karla and Paul, they're like, sweet, we got away with that shit. You know, a normal person would be like, oh my God, my baby sister. No. They're like, what can we do next? We're getting good at this. So they decide that they're going to get married in 1991. And on that same day, let me first tell you about their wedding. Like I said, Ken and Barbie couple. I mean, like horse-drawn carriage, like Cinderella, gorgeous. You know, the whole 9 yards, gorgeous wedding. On the same day as their wedding, body parts are popping up encased in cement in Lake Gibson. So the same day as their wedding, they find a leg and a torso. They're both encased in cement. And that's just a coincidence, I suppose. You know, funny how things work out. But it turns out 2 weeks before the wedding, Paul was driving around and he saw a beautiful 14-year-old little girl named Leslie Mahaffey. And he abducted her. And he brought her home. He tied her up. And he called Karla into the room and said, what do you think? Get that video camera, baby! and they busted out the video camera and recorded while he raped and tortured this girl for days and hours. Ridiculous. Once they finally had their fun and he's done with this sweet, innocent little girl, he strangles her and kills her. Then he dismembered her and encased the body parts in cement, 200 pounds of cement, thinking they would never be found. Well, that was 2 weeks before your wedding, and surprise, I have a wedding gift for you. Leslie Mahaffey is back. So that happened. Next, since, you know, Karla did bust out the camera when Paul abducted that girl, he's like, I could do this. I could push her further. He decides that Karla's going to help him abduct the next girl. So they're out driving around, and they're in a church parking lot, and a young girl, 15-year-old Kristen French, is walking by in a church parking lot. And Karla and Paul had pulled over, and Karla's got the map on the hood of the car. She's pretending like she's lost, and she calls Kristen French over. She's like, Kristen! No, she didn't say Kristen. Obviously, she didn't know the girl. She's like, excuse me, young girl, come here. She comes over. She's like, do you know, where are we here? And this nice, young, sweet girl's like, yes, I'm from the area. Let me help you. Out comes Paul, grabs her with the knife, sticks her in the car, and they're off. So they take her home. And same thing, get home, tie her up, baby, grab that video camera. And they do the same thing they've done before. They torture her, they rape her. Like I said, he's all into the S&M stuff. So, I mean, it's some sadistic crap that they're videotaping and doing. I don't remember which girl it is, but one of them, they even give one of the girls a stuffed teddy bear to hold on and comfort them while they're being tortured. Which I'll tell you guys where that teddy bear comes into play down the road. But anyways, same thing. They end up killing Kristen French and dismembering her. In 1993, I guess, the more they're getting to know each other and getting along, the beatings that Paul was giving to his wife, Karla, begin to escalate. They're getting much worse. One time, I don't know if I mentioned it before, he beat her with a mag light, like flashlight. And, I mean, she's black and blue out to here. He beat the crap out of her. So, like I mentioned before, the Scarsboro rapes were going on and stuff. So they had been going around and getting DNA from all these people. They had Paul's DNA on file. But because there were so many people, and this was back in the early 90s, it took a long time to get through them. Finally, they hit the DNA. Jackpot, it's Paul. So they called Karla in. Well, Karla's pissed. She's black and blue out to here. He beat the crap out of her with a flashlight. And she's like, oh, you want to know about Paul? Let me tell you about Paul. So she spews it all out. She tells them all. She's like, we got videotapes. He made me do this. I was so afraid of him. I loved him so much, but I was so afraid of him. That's not what it looks like on the videotapes, and it was your little sister that was given up first, but okay. I'm sure you were terrified, Karla. But anyway, so she's terrified, whatever. She agrees to testify against him. So they go to court. Needless to say, they get found guilty. I mean, there's videotapes of the crap. They're sentencing. You gotta love this. Paul Bernardo gets life in prison. I think he deserves, like, the electric chair, but he gets life in prison. Karla gets 12 years. Let me tell you where they're at now. So Paul has already begun asking for daytime parole. As far as I know of, it's been denied, and I hope it stays denied because this man is obviously very twisted. But he is eligible for parole after 25 years, and he's already begun applying for daytime parole. Karla, like I said, she got 12 years. She's already been released. She has a brand new identity and is married with 3 small children of her own, living in Quebec. So that's crazy. What I wanted to tell you guys about the teddy bear is when Karla came in to talk to the police and they were interrogating her, she's literally sitting there with the teddy bear from, I don't know if it was Leslie Mahaffey or Kristen French they had given it to, but as she's claiming, all this torment that went on and she was so terrified herself, sitting there in the interrogation room, she's cuddling the teddy bear that she had given to these girls. So to me, I don't know, that's kind of like a serial killer thing, having like a token or a treasure to remember your crime. I don't think it was a comfort thing. So anyways, there's my story, you guys. No makeup today because I had done it earlier. And then I wasn't going to do a video, but my girlfriend had begged and pleaded, so I did this one. I have to do it live because I don't have enough space on my phone. And let's see, what else? I think that's it. Oh, you know what? I want to ask you guys, if you enjoy my stories, everyone doesn't have to watch them. They're just for someone in particular, but you're more than welcome to share them. But what I was going to say is my next story, sorry, bugs are flying around me. The next story I was going to talk about is the toy box. I don't know if anybody's ever heard about that. I'm not going to tell it today, But if you're interested, let me know in the comments that you want to hear it. It is about David Ray Parker and Cindy Henny. And David Ray Parker is twisted. Like 50 Shades Grey, way beyond twisted. He has what he calls a toy box, which is a torture room where he built his very own like gynecological chair to put the women in and torture them. Some crazy, crazy stuff. He enjoyed making his own torture devices for the women, and him and his girlfriend would abduct girls. It's a crazy story, but I would love to share it with you guys. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll do it live again and share with yous. Or if you have any suggestions and you want to hear a murder story that you've heard and you want more details on it, I'd probably watch it because I'm into this stuff. I figure I got all this info, might as well share it. Or also, if you have a great story and you want me to tell it and I remember it, I'll tell you. If you're like, oh, Shirley, remember that one time? Tell that story. If I can remember it, I'll tell it. I ain't got no shame. All right, well, I hope everyone's having a tremendously terrific Thursday. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Wash those hands. Don't cough on people. Don't even sneeze in the vicinity of people that give you some stank eyes. But stay safe, healthy, spread love. Like I say, give hugs, not drugs. Make love, not war. Be kind to one another. Everybody, be kind, be kind. And be careful, you never know who's a murderer. All right, have a good night.